All right, let's dive into this, huh? Performance flying directors,
Yeah, you're interviewing for this role.
which means you're dealing with, well, it's a lot. Creativity, technical expertise. It's almost like,
Cirque du Soleil.
yeah, Cirque du Soleil meets safety engineering.
It's a pretty amazing field.
It really is. So we've got a ton of resources for you today, career guides, sample interview questions, and we'll even take a look at how RoleCatcher can give you that AI edge in your prep.
Absolutely.
But I guess first, like, what does a performance flying director actually do?
Yeah, it's more than just, making actors fly.
Right, right.
There's a lot of research involved, design, obviously safety is huge, so meticulous safety protocols.
Of course, yeah.
And even, you need to have some psychology in there too. You're working with performers.
Yeah, you got to understand them.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's dive into some of these interview questions then. The first one is a classic. What inspired you to pursue this career? It seems pretty straightforward, but how can someone make their answer, really memorable?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people just give kind of a surface level answer, but you really got to go beyond the obvious.
Okay.
Think about what that specific spark was. Was it a specific show that just blew you away? Was it a mentor, someone who really inspired you to go down this path? Or maybe even like a fascination with the technical aspects, like rigging and things like that.
Right, right.
You really need to find that personal connection and tie it back to the skills and experience you bring to the table.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's actually where I think RoleCatcher can really help.
Oh, okay.
It's got AI, and it can analyze your resume, pinpoint keywords that are relevant to this field.
Oh, cool.
And it can even suggest ways to, like, personalize your answer.
Oh, wow. So if like someone had experience in rock climbing or something,
Exactly.
that would like show they're comfortable with heights and know about safety procedures.
Yeah, it demonstrates a lot of things that are transferable.
That's really cool. All right, next question. What's your experience designing and executing complex aerial displays? Now, this is your chance to really like showcase your expertise.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah,
This is where you want to use what we call the STAR method.
STAR.
Yeah, so that stands for situation, task, action, result.
Okay.
So you describe a specific situation, you outline the task that you were given, you explain the actions you took, and then you highlight the positive results, what you actually achieved.
Okay, so it's kind of like telling a story almost.
Yeah, exactly. A success story.
And I think this is another spot where RoleCatcher can be really helpful
How so?
because you can actually like score your resume against the specific job description.
Oh, wow.
So it'll show you which experiences to like emphasize.
So if you've led teams, managed budgets, or solved like tricky technical problems during a show.
You want to highlight that
Exactly.
because it shows you can handle like all those different parts of the job.
Right, the multifaceted nature of it.
Okay, cool. Now, obviously, safety is huge in this field.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure safety during a performance?
This is where you really show that you know your stuff. Like, you need to demonstrate that you have a deep understanding of safety protocols.
Okay, so like what kind of things are we talking about here?
Talk about risk assessments, equipment inspections, all your pre-show checks. You also want to talk about emergency procedures, what happens if something goes wrong, and really emphasize your proactive approach to safety training.
Yeah.
That you're constantly thinking about how to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this is another area where RoleCatcher, it can be really helpful.
Oh, how so?
Well, you can actually practice this answer, record yourself giving it, and then the AI will give you feedback.
Oh, wow.
It's like we'll analyze your body language and even your tone of voice.
That's cool.
So you project that confidence and that expertise they are looking for.
Awesome. So we've got safety down. Now let's move on to a question that's like all about interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
How do you handle a difficult performer?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, everyone has encountered, some challenging personalities at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you navigate that, especially in such a high-pressure environment?
I think diplomacy is really key here.
Go ahead.
Share a real example, obviously without naming names, of course. But,
Right.
Talk about a time when you had to maybe mediate a disagreement between performers, or you found a creative compromise, or maybe even helped a performer, like, overcome their fear of heights or something like that.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
You want to show that you can manage those interpersonal dynamics and keep the show running smoothly.
Okay, that makes sense. And actually, I think RoleCatcher has a bunch of interview guides on like conflict resolution and things like
Oh,
that.
that's fantastic.
So people could, find an approach that feels authentic to them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's move on. This next question is a bit more conceptual, but it really gets at the heart of what this role is all about.
All right, let's hear it.
How do you balance creative vision with practical limitations?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because, you need to be able to dream big, but you also have to be grounded in reality.
Exactly. And I think RoleCatcher actually has a really in-depth section on this specific balance in their career guide for performance flying directors.
Oh, that's great.
So it's definitely worth checking out.
It'll give you a real edge in understanding, like, what the hiring managers are looking for.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of how to answer this question,
Yeah.
you really need to showcase your ability to think both artistically and logistically.
Yeah.
So provide a concrete example from your work, maybe where you had to adapt a flying sequence due to like budget constraints or the size of the stage, or even limitations of the performers themselves. Not everyone can do like triple backflips while suspended 30 feet in the air.
Right.
So how did you find that creative solution while still maintaining safety and the artistic integrity of the piece?
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's a balancing act. It really is a balancing act.
Yeah, so it sounds like this question is really about showing them you can adapt,
Exactly. And that you can think on your feet, come up with creative solutions when things don't go exactly according to plan.
Right, because in live theater, I'm sure things change all the time.
All the time, yeah.
All right, let's move on to a question that really emphasizes the collaborative nature of this job, I think.
Okay.
How would you answer this? How do you collaborate with other departments and stakeholders to ensure a successful performance?
This is a really important one because it shows that you understand that as a performance flying director, you're not working in isolation.
Right.
You need to be able to seamlessly coordinate with so many different people.
Yeah, like who are we talking about here?
Yeah. Well, you've got the director, the choreographer, the set designers, the lighting technicians, the stage managers. The list goes on and on.
Wow. That's a lot of people to keep happy.
It is, yeah.
So how do you show them in the interview that you're like a team player, that you can handle all of that?
Well, you want to give specific examples from your past experiences.
Okay.
Have you facilitated meetings? Have you, resolved creative differences between different departments? Have you ever had to adjust a flying sequence to accommodate, the needs of another department?
So like if the lighting designer needed a certain kind of rig or something, you'd be willing to work with them.
Absolutely. And it's about showcasing your communication skills, too. Like, being able to articulate your ideas clearly, listen to other people's perspectives.
And ultimately find solutions that, benefit the entire production.
Exactly.
That's just your own little flying world.
Right. And don't be afraid to, mention your preferred communication style, too.
Oh.
Do you like in-person meetings? Are you more of an email person? Do you like a combination? Showing that you can adapt to different personalities and communication styles is really valuable.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, speaking of personalities, let's talk about the performers.
Right.
This one seems to get at the leadership side of being a performance flying director.
Okay.
How do you motivate and train performers to reach their full potential? What do you think?
Well, I think it's about, inspiring confidence in your performers.
Yeah.
Building trust with them. It's not just about teaching them the technical skills of flying. It's about understanding their individual needs and anxieties.
Because I imagine some performers are probably thrilled to fly, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But others might be, like, terrified.
Yeah, yeah. And you need to be able to create a safe and supportive environment for everyone.
So how do you do that?
Well, maybe you break down complex movements into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
You use a lot of positive reinforcement. Maybe you offer personalized coaching to those who need a little extra support.
Right. So it's kind of like being a therapist, a coach, and a technical expert all rolled into one.
Pretty much, yeah.
So that's cool. So you're like helping each performer succeed while, obviously still maintaining safety.
Right. That's always the top priority.
Okay, so let's say you have a performer who's, really talented. They have their own creative ideas about how they want to move in the air.
Right. A lot of performers are artists in their own right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you, balance their input with the technical demands of the flying sequence?
Well, it's a collaborative process.
Okay.
You encourage performers to explore movement within safe parameters.
Right, right.
You work with them to adapt choreography to their strengths, find ways to showcase their unique talents.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot between like artistic expression and technical feasibility.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, cool. Now, this next question is something that comes up in pretty much every field, but I think it's especially relevant for something as dynamic as performance flying. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies?
That's a great question. And this is where you really want to demonstrate your commitment to continuous learning.
Hmm.
Be specific about your methods. Do you attend industry conferences? Do you read trade publications? Do you participate in workshops? Do you experiment with new equipment? Are you constantly trying to learn and grow?
Maybe you even follow other like leading flying directors on social media or something.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Or engage in like online forums where professionals are sharing ideas.
Absolutely. Anything that shows your curiosity and your dedication to staying ahead of the curve.
Because this is a field that's constantly evolving, right?
It is, yeah.
New technologies are always emerging, new safety protocols, new ways of thinking about movement in the air.
Right. And you want to show them that you're open to embracing all of that.
Okay, good stuff. Now, this next one can sometimes be a bit tricky, I think.
All right, let's hear it.
Can you describe a time you had to manage a difficult performer?
Yeah, that's a delicate one.
It is, right, because
Right.
you don't want to like badmouth anyone
Yeah.
or, reveal confidential information.
Right.
So how do you approach this question?
I think the key is to focus on the process, not the person.
Okay.
Don't name names, but describe the situation and the challenges you faced. Was the performer resisting the choreography? Were they not adhering to safety protocols? Were they being disruptive during rehearsals?
Mm-hmm.
And then, once you've set the scene, explain the steps you took to address the situation.
Okay.
Did you have a private conversation with the performer? Did you involve other team members? Did you adjust the flying plan?
So it's all about showing that you can, problem solve,
Exactly.
stay calm under pressure,
Yeah.
and ultimately find solutions that, benefit everyone involved.
Right. It's a win-win situation.
Okay. Now, this one seems to be a recurring theme in these performance flying director interviews.
What's that?
The balance between creative vision and practical limitations.
Ah.
So let's tackle this question head on. How do you balance creative vision with practical limitations when designing aerial displays?
All right. So we've touched on this a bit already.
Right.
But this question is really asking you to go deeper, to provide a very specific example.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, first, you need to acknowledge that there are always practical limitations.
Right.
Budget constraints, stage dimensions, equipment availability, performer capabilities.
Right.
So share an example where you had to make adjustments or compromises. Maybe you had to simplify a flying sequence because of budget limitations, or maybe you had to find creative workarounds when specific equipment wasn't available.
Like using a different kind of harness or something?
Exactly. And the key is to explain how you found a solution that still met the creative goals of the piece.
So it's all about being resourceful, right?
Resourceful and
Creative.
yeah, and about communicating those decisions effectively.
Because it's not just about finding the solution. It's about making sure everyone understands like why you made those choices.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, before we wrap up this whole interview prep section,
Okay.
I want to circle back to RoleCatcher for a minute because we've talked about how it can analyze your resume and suggest keywords.
Right.
But what else can it do to like help people prepare for these specific questions?
Well, RoleCatcher's AI capabilities go way beyond resume analysis.
Okay.
One of the most impressive things it can do is help you tailor your answers to the specific company you're interviewing with.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's not just about generic interview prep. It's about really understanding the company's culture, their values, even their recent projects.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a dedicated research team working behind the scenes.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how does it actually do that?
Well, it analyzes company websites, social media, news articles,
Oh, wow.
all sorts of publicly available information.
That's really cool. So you can weave those insights into your answers.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and that can really help you stand out from the competition.
Right, because it shows that you've done your homework, that you're like really interested in this specific company.
Exactly, and it doesn't stop there. RoleCatcher also offers AI-powered feedback on your practice answers.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just giving you canned responses, it's actually helping you refine your own unique voice and style.
That's really cool. So you can like type or record your
Yeah,
answers,
you can do either one.
and then it analyzes
Yeah,
them.
exactly. And it'll analyze your word choice, your tone, even your body language if you use the video feedback feature.
So it's kind of like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And I know RoleCatcher also has a huge library of interview guides
Right.
covering all sorts of different skills and professions.
Yeah. So if you're ever feeling stuck on a particular question, you can find inspiration and guidance within the platform.
That's really cool. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from dissecting those tricky interview questions to leveraging the power of AI with RoleCatcher.
Absolutely.
I feel like we've given our listener a pretty solid toolkit to approach this performance flying director interview.
Yeah, I think so too. Preparation is key, but don't forget to, let your passion shine through.
Right, because when you genuinely love what you do, it shows.
It really does.
Yeah, it really does. And I think,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's that passion that's going to make you stand out.
Oh, absolutely. Skills and experience are important, but passion is what really sets people apart.
Right, because I feel like we've given our listener a really solid toolkit here.
I think so too.
We've broken down the role, we've tackled some of those tough questions, we've even explored how AI can give them an edge.
Yeah.
But there's one thing we haven't really talked about yet.
Oh, okay. What's that?
It might not be a direct question they asked in the interview, but I think it speaks volumes about your passion and your understanding of what this role is all about.
All right, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So imagine you're tasked with designing a flying sequence for your favorite play or musical.
Oh, I like this. Okay, let me think. I'm going to go with Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, good choice.
A phantom disappearing through the mirror, Christine floating above the stage.
So much drama.
Yeah.
So many possibilities for, like, amazing aerial work.
Exactly. Now, think about the challenges involved. How would you make it visually spectacular, technically sound, and obviously safe for the performers, all while staying true to the spirit of the story?
Wow, that's a lot to consider. I mean, you need to research the characters, the setting, the music, the emotional beats of each scene.
Right, you need to understand the source material inside and out.
And then, of course, there's the technical stuff. Rigging, harnesses, flight paths, how it all integrates with the set design, the lighting.
It's a lot.
It's like solving a puzzle, but with, like, art and engineering all mixed together.
It is, and that's what makes this role so unique. It's about pushing boundaries, creating moments of wonder, really transporting the audience to another world.
I love that. So how does this thought experiment help our listener who's, prepping for this interview?
It's about going beyond those memorized answers. Think deeply about what excites you about performance flying.
Mm-hmm.
What challenges are you eager to embrace? What kind of creative legacy do you hope to build?
I see what you're saying. It's about showing them you're not just looking for a job. You're looking for a way to, like, make your mark on the world of theater.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe someday we'll be watching one of your productions, marveling at the magic you've created.
That's a fantastic thought. Well, I think we've given our listener everything they need to absolutely crush this interview.
I agree. Remember, preparation is key, but don't forget to let that passion shine through.
That's great advice. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of performance flying directors. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck with that interview.